Yeah, there's also, as you know, a couple of state polls that have popped up tonight, which is starting to show Trump in front in the places that are considered to be the absolute must beginning of the win, blue wall states of Michigan, Wisconsin and in Pennsylvania. Now, about the actual interviews, I heard what you had to say today, that the 60 Minutes conversation was the more polite of the conversations that 60 Minutes would normally have with a political candidate. But at the very least, there was some pushback. And even then, she fumbles the ball.
I mean, I give Bill Whitaker credit for at least trying on immigration, but net, he wound up the thinnest kid at fat camp. Like, it's not really a great accomplishment. That was it. That's really, he pressed her on the economy a little, and he pressed her legitimately on immigration. So good. And on every other exchange, he fell down on the job. I mean, he had questions like, you say, based on the following 3 or 4 things, that Trump is a racist. Go on. It was like, what? It was so obvious, right? And then in the 60 Minutes extra, which is the outtakes that didn't, and just some of them, not all of them, God forbid they show us the whole thing because she'd look like a drooling mess. They, of course, cleaned up her transcript. But in some of the outtakes that they posted, he does get into the coup, right? That Joe Biden went down and she was elevated and she took over this role. And I'm like, great. This is where he's going to ask her about the fact that this, A, has been utterly undemocratic, and B, resulted after she lied to us all for years about his mental acuity. What did she know? When did she know it? Why did she look us in the eye and tell us that he was absolutely fine, when we both have her on the record now and him on the record saying they made every decision together. They did every law together. She was an integral part of all of the big administration decisions. So she was with him. She was with him a lot. So she would have seen. No, it wasn't asked. He didn't touch on it. All he asked was, well, do you think that's why people feel like they don't know you? Because there wasn't a more robust process behind your elevation. Oh my, what a fail. And it was just time and time again where she started giving answers like she was at a deposition. Now, I'm a lawyer. She's a lawyer. And these answers, to me, at first sounded normal because I spent 10 years taking depositions and doing cross-examinations. And when someone says, I'm not going to answer a hypothetical, that's a totally normal, common answer in a deposition, where you're across from an adversary who hates you and is suing you or your client. This is not a deposition. It is an interview in which she is asking us, on whose behalf the questioner is there, to hire her for the most important job in the world. I won't answer a hypothetical is an absurd answer. Yeah. And you know where she invoked it? Every single time it was foreign policy, because she's a know-nothing. She didn't know what to say when he asked her about China, when he asked her about Ukraine. She danced and danced and danced. She didn't know what to say when he asked her about Israel. Like every major conflict, she seemed completely flat-footed and a little clueless, like she was waiting for someone in her special little ear pods to give her the answer. I realize this is an internet conspiracy theory, but it's kind of a fun one. And the answer didn't come, so she just went with, hypothetical. I'm not going to answer a hypothetical. Well, guess what? We're entitled to the answer. She didn't give it. We used to ask that question all the time in presidential debates. Totally fair game. She didn't answer because she can't.